If Hollywood Studios is on your itinerary, this episode is one you're going to love because Hollywood Studios, it's a park that can feel overwhelming at first glance because there's a lot of, quote, big rides and lots of things to do. But with the right priorities, it's also one of the most rewarding ones to kind of just like slow down and really enjoy. And I think it has a lot of the things that we love about Disney, which is the movies and the animation. As the kids have gotten older, so I have a 9-year-old, 5-year-old, and almost 2-year-old, this has become one of our favorite parks to visit the more and more we go. This all came about because I asked my Instagram broadcast channel to vote on today's episode. And it started with anywhere from first-time visits to toddlers, and then just an idea of exploring an episode just about a single park. And I thought everyone was going to pick Magic Kingdom. I really did. But out of all 4 parks, overwhelmingly, the votes were for Hollywood Studios. So I opened up a question answer inside the channel, and I just pulled your exact questions. So today I'm answering all of them straight from our most recent trip, including what time to get to Fantasmic, thoughts on Oga's Cantina, and how much you can actually do in one day. Hello, and welcome to the Laid Back Magic Way podcast. I'm your host, Dana Stanley, creator of Laid Back Magic. As a mom of 3, I know how tough it can be to find time to plan a Disney World trip that doesn't leave you feeling stressed or overwhelmed. That's why I'm here, to help moms like you create Disney vacations that feel even better than they look on paper. Here, we're not chasing perfection, but creating our next favorite memories. So whether you're brand new to Disney or looking to go deeper into the details, this podcast is your go-to for simple tips, mindset shifts, real-life trip recaps, and expert insights to make your trip magical and manageable. New episodes drop every Monday, so be sure to subscribe so you never miss a moment. Okay, let's dive in. As I said before, this episode is made entirely of questions from you, and I just kind of organize them by the topic. So whether you're debating the shows or lightning lanes, dining packages, or just how to not overthink some of the nighttime stuff, I know you're going to find something helpful in here. To kick things off, let's talk about Fantasmic, because there's a lot of confusion around timing and how it fits with the other nighttime shows. So Kristen asked, how early do I need to get there for Fantasmic? And this really depends on if there's 1 or 2 shows that night. Because if there's 1 show, obviously it's going to be more crowded because everyone is going to 1 show. In that case, I'd want to get there a little bit on the earlier side, and I want to say between 30 to 45 minutes before. Now, that being said, I don't want it to feel like very urgent if you didn't get there that early, especially if it's not a busy time of year. And you'll be able to feel that even like when you're in the park, like, ooh, it's really crowded today, or it's not very crowded today. Because the good thing about Fantasmic is there really isn't a bad spot. And the stadium or theater, depending on what you want to call it, it's huge. So it has like classic stadium seating where the bottom rows are lower than the top rows, which are higher. So you don't have to really worry about someone being like really tall in front of you. Everyone's sitting down, so you don't have to like save a spot, like let's say the fireworks in Magic Kingdom. It's just an overall much less intense vibe, especially if and when there's 2 shows. The second one is a lot less busy, so you could get there 10, even like 5 minutes before. Ideally, if you're not using the dining package for Fantasmic, so you don't have like assigned special seating, I would grab some popcorn and get there 30 minutes before, with the asterisk that if it's a busy time of year, like I said, so Thanksgiving, Christmas, sometimes spring break, I'd shoot for 45 minutes just to be safe. It's never happened to us, but I know that they can and will reach capacity sometimes. The biggest like time suck that I didn't really realize until I had kids was just the actual distance from the entrance to actually getting up and into a seat. It's a little bit of a walk, and it's an uphill walk, and you have a stroller, and then you have to park your stroller in like their designated spot. So that's the only thing that's going to feel like it takes the longest. And someone else had a question about the dining package, so I'm going to have more info on that as well. And speaking of nighttime shows, a lot of people want to know if you can squeeze in both Fantasmic and the Wonderful World of Animation. And this is just like a short projection show that happens on the old Chinese theater, which is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. So I'm sorry I don't have the first name, but Locally Roamed asked, thoughts on Wonderful World of Animation show? Is it worth it or even feasible to try for both Wonderful World and Fantasmic? So very short answer is no, you can't really do both. So on our last trip, we were walking from Slinky Dog Dash, which is over in Toy Story Land, to Fantasmic. We had a dining package, so I wasn't planning on getting there the 30 to 45 minutes before, but our lightning lane for Slinky took way longer than we thought. So we were like hustling to Fantasmic. We were power walking. And I think we ended up getting there like 5 minutes before when all was said and done. I'm telling you this because on the way there, Wonderful World of Animation was already started. Like, I don't know if it had started 1 minute before or 10 minutes before, but this is just a quick projection show. Like I said, it's only 12 minutes. So there's music and sounds and the projections and like little like pop-off sparklers, but it doesn't bring a big crowd like Fantasmic. So it's kind of just there, I think, to like disperse people a little bit. If you're not going to Fantasmic, there's like something else for people to do that's more of like a nighttime thing. Now, if there are 2 showings of Fantasmic on the night you're there, you could potentially see both, for sure. You could see Wonderful World of Animation, and then you could go see the second showing of Fantasmic for sure. For example, if you're listening to this the day that this episode actually airs, Fantasmic is at 8:30 with only 1 show, and World of Animation is at 9. So obviously, today, if you were going to try to see both, that would not work. And then even on some other nights later in the month, it flip-flops. Fantasmic is at 9:30, and World of Animation is at 9. So just going back to, unless there's 2 shows, you can't do both. And between the 2, there really is no comparison. Fantasmic is a completely different type of show. I mean, it is a show. There are characters and lights and sounds and huge props, and it's a whole production, versus World of Animation. It's just like a cute little thing that if you happen to be walking by, it's fun to watch. Next up, let's talk about dining a little bit. So starting with one of the most asked about, and that is the Fantasmic dining package. Morgan asks just my thoughts on it. And my short answer is that I like the Fantasmic dining package for the example that I just gave of us being late to Fantasmic because something happened and it was out of my control and unexpected. And even though I was a little stressed, I wasn't that stressed because we had that dining package, which essentially just gives you a designated spot that only dining package people can sit at Fantasmic. And they're great seats. I know that there is like no bad seat, but in terms of where it is front dead center of the show. Both times we've done the dining package, we ended up eating at Hollywood Brown Derby, which is, it's a solid good from me. The steak is decent. My husband really likes it there. I was able to get a cocktail to go. I'm always a fan of anything that reserves a spot for me. You know, I love the Magic Kingdom dessert party, and I like the Fantasmic dining package for the same reason. We don't see Fantasmic on every trip either, so it's just something like if we're going to prioritize it, it's kind of a no-brainer to do the dining package. I certainly don't think that you absolutely need it, especially if you don't have little kids. That's a big thing too. Like if it was just my husband and I, we would be happy campers just sitting there, 30 to 45 minutes before the show starts. Whereas that 30 to 45 minutes with little kids and toddlers, like my son was under 2 last time we did this, and that was not going to happen. He could barely sit still for 2 seconds. So I like just knowing that that spot is there for me when I get there. I'm not going to spend too much time on the dining package just because I have a full review of it on my blog. So I'm going to link that in the show notes so you can see more details on where the dining package is offered and the pricing and how the whole thing works. And for those of you who are wondering whether Oga's Cantina is actually worth the hype, Millie said, I've heard a lot of mixed reviews on Oga's. Is it worth it? So the thing about Oga's is right off the bat, if you have a Star Wars fan in your group, I think it's worth it. So the first time we went was in 2021 with my brother-in-law. It was like our big family trip. He is a Star Wars nut. So that was like a done deal that we were going to have drinks there. And it was fun to experience once. And then again, like a lot of things in Disney, I've said it before, we left kind of like, oh, like that was fun, but we don't have to do that again, or at least not for a while. So I think a lot of what the mixed reviews comes with is it coming from a Star Wars fan or not, first off? And a lot of people think that it's like a restaurant, and it isn't. It is not somewhere that you go to have a meal. It is a lounge. There's just not a lot of food options. So like if you book that at 12 o'clock and you think that you're going to be sitting down for lunch, it could kind of be a nightmare, especially with little kids. So they have snacks, like little things that are kind of just fun and, again, super themed Star Wars, but it's not going to fill you up. They have like a little charcuterie board type thing, a flatbread, that type of stuff. But if you were just going for a drink and you're not into Star Wars, there's a lot of different places you could go. Baseline Tap House kind of has like that bar lounge feel. Tune-In Lounge, same thing. I'd say if you have a toddler, let's say like under 4 years old, no, I would probably skip it unless your husband is like a diehard Star Wars fan and you know that he'll love it. If you do go, my favorite cocktail is the Outer Rim because essentially it's just the closest thing to a margarita. But another little tip is if you order the blue Bantha for your kids, this is like the blue milk that you can get at Galaxy's Edge, ask for an extra cookie because on top of the drink comes with this like little sugar cookie, and I've never had a problem just getting an extra cookie. That way my girls weren't fighting and screaming, and they really liked the milk. And if you're a mom, I know you understand. Okay, so shifting into a little bit of strategy, let's talk about lightning lanes and how I think about picking them. So Tracy asked recommendations for booking lightning lanes. And when it comes to lightning lanes and how I teach it in my course is really just you finding, I call them your quote, dreamy lightning lanes. So it's just a mix of three things and where they all intersect. And that's the popularity of the lightning lane, how much time the lightning lane is going to save you, and your family. Because I could recommend, hey, get Slinky Dog Dash, hey, get Tower of Terror, get these hard to get rides. But like for my family, my girls don't want to get on that. Like I might get my husband one lightning lane for Tower of Terror. I don't want to ride that either. So it doesn't make sense. There's not like one size fits all recommendations that I can give. But I will say this. If you want to ride Slinky Dog Dash using the lightning lane, that's going to be one of the first ones to sell out. But it is also one of the rides that gets a lot of day of availability once you're in the park. So if you're using Standby Skipper, I know I've talked about it before. It's an app that will book lightning lanes for you, kind of like an alert system. Like, oh, there's a lightning lane that just opened for Slinky Dog Dash. Instead of refreshing on the My Disney Experience app yourself to find it, Standby Skipper will snatch it up for you. Now, that being said, I will tell you that the two hard-to-get lightning lanes in Hollywood Studios, if there's something that you want, then you should prioritize Slinky Dog Dash and a single pass for Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. Those are the two top rides that are always going to sell out first. And then for us, because typically we're skipping Slinky, especially in the morning, sometimes I'll grab it for the evening, like I was saying before, when we were late for Fantasmic. That was because I had Standby Skipper grab me a Slinky for the evening, and it had no problem. But if I don't go that route of getting it as a secondary lightning lane, my pre-booked ones are usually going to be Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and Toy Story Mania, which is like one of my favorite rides in Hollywood Studios. It's really a park that you have to prioritize what you want to do. So you have to read the descriptions, maybe go on YouTube and do some of these ride-throughs and decide what you really want to ride ahead of time. Then from there, you can look into the tiers of lightning lanes, which ones you are allowed to book ahead of time, how many. Then you can cross-reference those with the rides that usually get long waits and sell out the fastest and put those to the top of your list to pre-book them ahead of time. One of the factors to think about when you're booking lightning lanes in Hollywood Studios is the actual location of the rides. So like I love getting Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway as our first lightning lane of the day really because it's towards the front of the park and you're kind of walking by it on your way to Galaxy's Edge or Toy Story Land. So I love getting that first and scanning in. That way I, or Standby Skipper, which I'm most likely using, can start grabbing lightning lanes and I can just keep booking and scanning for the rest of the day. On that note, let's also cover how to structure your day. So Brittany asked, what was your 3-2-1 for Hollywood Studios on your last trip? So she is referring to my method 3-2-1, which means to pick 3 rides for your park day, 2 experiences, and then 1 dining reservation. I feel like this is just the perfect way to structure your day, not just at Hollywood Studios, but any of the parks. That doesn't feel like too much or too little, and then anything extra is kind of a bonus. And these definitely change wildly from trip to trip. Even if we've only gone 3 months ago, I know that our 3-2-1 is going to be different because my kids grow up, they have different interests, or maybe they're different heights, and now they can ride certain things. And there's always some type of new show or ride that we want to experience. So on our last trip, my daughter Sailor just reached a new milestone for her height. So she was tall enough for Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, and she was very eager and excited to get on, and also Star Tours, which she had never been on. And her big sister loves both of those. So she was really excited to bring her on these rides. So those were at the top of the list, along with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, because I can't miss that. I really like that ride and the kids all like it. The toddlers love it. It's just so happy and fun. And I swear my kids are in the best mood in the line for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I don't know if it's because we do it early before anyone's lost their minds, but it's just a good ride. It makes us all very happy. And for the 2 experiences, we had the new villain show, Unfairly Ever After, that had just opened when we went. And we really liked it, by the way. And we're going to talk about the show on the next question, so I won't get into it. But that was something we could not miss. My oldest was very excited for that, and I wanted to see it just to pass along information. And then the second experience was Fantasmic. So we did prioritize it on this trip. And because we were prioritizing it, I went for the dining package at Hollywood Brown Derby, which was our 1 reservation. And if you're still trying to choose which shows are actually worth it, Laura asked what my opinion was on the new shows. Because there's so many shows in Hollywood Studios, what's your priority order? So first, I agree. There's a lot of shows in Hollywood Studios. So to recap, those are Beauty and the Beast live on stage, which is outdoors but shaded. Then you have the new Villains Unfairly Ever After, which is indoors with air conditioning. You have Fantasmic, which we talked about, which is outdoors, not covered, and at night. Then the first time in forever, a Frozen sing-along celebration. That is a mouthful. I'm just going to call it the Frozen Show. That is indoors. Then the new Little Mermaid musical adventure, which was just added as a lightning lane. And that is indoors as well. And then you have Indiana Jones, which is a stunt show that's similar to the theater of Beauty and the Beast, where it's outside, but you're covered. And I'm mentioning the logistics of indoor versus outdoor because that kind of changes my priority list. Indiana Jones and Beauty and the Beast are pretty long shows, and if it's hot, I don't really want to sit through it. I love them both. I think they're both awesome. But if it is sweltering outside, I'm not prioritizing those, and I'm going for the Frozen sing-along, Little Mermaid, or the new Villain show. I have not got to see the new Little Mermaid musical. That was something that we were hoping to be able to do on our trip, but the Villain show trumped it, and sure enough, like I thought, we didn't have time to do both. Totally fine. I'm going to try to catch it next time. So I can't speak on that, but if I had to pick out of all of the shows, the Frozen sing-along is my top pick because it has that beautiful air conditioning. It's a perfect length, and anywhere from like babies to grandparents love it. It's really funny. They get to see Elsa. There's bubbles. And it's great. That would be my top pick. I don't necessarily get like a lightning lane for it or like do it first thing in the morning. I do kind of treat it as like, hopefully this works out. But if you have a Frozen fan, I would definitely throw that in your 2 experiences as a priority. It's always a really great show. One last one that came in, and let's touch on park hopping before we wrap up. So Amy said, I would love to hear your thoughts on park hopping, which parks to pair together for ease of travel, and how to best utilize lightning lanes. So just a reminder, when you have a park hopper ticket, you're able to start in one park and end in another. So she's referring to like the mixing and matching of when to do Hollywood Studios. And I would just, like you said, she's already on the right track to choose that. I would just focus on lightning lanes because you can't pre-book 3 lightning lanes split up between 2 parks. You can't do Slinky Dog Dash at night and then have, Peter Pan or Winnie the Pooh at Magic Kingdom in the morning. You'd have to pick and choose which ones. So if you're doing like a ride heavy day in Hollywood Studios, it's really best to start in the morning and pre-book your rides in Hollywood Studios for close to park open. That way, once you scan, you can start booking your lightning lanes in the next park that you're hopping to, which is very cool. Now, that would be for the kind of person that's like, we cannot miss Slinky Dog Dash, or we cannot miss Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and we don't want to wait in line for it. So many different factors. Whereas if you maybe go to Disney often and you're not going to be crying about a missed lightning lane, which you never should, but you get what I mean. I do like hopping to Hollywood Studios, especially if you're starting your day in Epcot. So to help you picture this, let's say you are starting in Epcot and your first lightning lane of the day is Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. You would scan into Remy's and then you could keep booking in Epcot for a couple rides, or you could start booking in Hollywood Studios. Because there are so many day of drops for Slinky Dog, you have a pretty good chance of getting that when you hop. Especially, again, if you're using Standby Skipper. Love Standby Skipper for Hollywood Studios for this reason. And then you could just continue throughout your morning in Epcot. You could go back to the room for a break if you wanted, or you could hop on the boat from Epcot and go straight to Hollywood Studios. I have also walked from Epcot to Hollywood Studios, which is a little bit of a hike, but it can be done if you enjoy walking and want to get your steps in. Those 2 parks go together like chocolate and peanut butter. Like they're a perfect combination, even just like with the theming. Like I just think Epcot and Hollywood Studios go so well together. It's not like going from Animal Kingdom to Hollywood Studios, which you can do and I've done and it's fine. I just really like that combination. And another note on lightning lanes is when you're using the single passes, it doesn't matter where they are. So you could get a single pass in Epcot and you could get a single pass for Hollywood Studios. Thanks for submitting your questions on these. I really like episodes like this because I'm not like guessing what you need to know. You're literally telling me what you need to know, and it makes it really fun to record. If you're heading to Hollywood Studios soon and need more support finding your strategy, don't forget I cover all of this inside my Laid Back Magic guide within my park guide collection. It's all bundled in there, so you'll get park plans and lightning lane recommendations, dining tips, and if you ever get stuck for those like really personalized questions, this episode is a perfect example of the kinds of questions that I answer inside of our community. So I'll make sure to link that in the show notes for you, and I'll see you back here next Monday. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Laid Back Magic Way podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode and it was helpful for you, it would mean the world to me if you'd write a quick review. Your reviews help more moms like you find the show, and I read every single one of them. Seriously, thank you in advance. You can find me on Instagram at Somewhere Worthwhile, and I'd love to hear from you there. DM me if you have any questions about this episode or what you'd like to see in future ones. Until then, keep planning for your next favorite memory, and I'll see you next time.